It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, it is. Live, large and in charge in the Republic of Feel Good. Welcome back to it. Medical Tuesdays, as we make a house call with Dr. Darren Green and open up our lines to you to call us on 083-9133-728. And the discussion this morning is around the fact that this week, from the 12th until the 18th of March, is World Glaucoma Week. Now, the number of people worldwide between the ages of 40 and 80 with glaucoma is estimated at 64.3 million. And this was back in 2013. This number is expected to increase to 76 million by 2020. So the more you know, the better. Dr. Darren, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Morning.
So for those that don't know, like myself, what exactly is glaucoma? And is it a condition that affects the eyes? What exactly is it?
It is indeed a condition. It actually refers to a group of conditions that can affect the eye and the pressure in the eye specifically. And basically what it leads to acutely is basically a loss of vision, and you could actually become blind if glaucoma is not detected.
Wow.
So two subtypes: an acute form, obviously, which comes on with severe pain and quite significantly so, and which obviously, if not corrected quick enough, the pressure in the eye can lead to secondary changes in the eye itself. And those beautiful pictures there show the eye from the side. And basically, you've got two chambers of the eye, one in front of the lens and one behind the lens. And there's fluid in the eye. If you go and cut an eyeball open, in the back of the eye, there's a jelly-like fluid called the vitreous humor. And in front of the lens, you have aqueous humor, which is a watery substance. And there are little parts just below the colourful part of your eye, which is called the iris, a little ciliary body that manufactures this water fluid.
Yes, yeah.
And that needs to circulate, obviously, and nourish the eye itself and move through. But it also needs to be drained as it circulates. What glaucoma actually is when that drainage is affected and the pressure in the eye, in the chamber itself, increases, and that could lead then obviously to dire consequences with pressure on the optic nerve, which is right at the back of the eye, which we can see over there.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so what are the symptoms that one should be looking out for then?
So if it's acute glaucoma, in other words, if that drainage site where that newly produced fluid is supposed to drain out through a sieve, like a cake flour sieve, it's called a trabecular mesh. If that's blocked and the iris actually tilts forward or bulges forward, that's the colourful part of your eye, that's acute angle glaucoma. And what that then causes is acute pain in and around the eye. You could even have an atypical headache going around the eye, with obviously a clouding of the cornea, which is the cellophane layer in front of the eye as well. That combined obviously with vision loss and blurred vision. So that's the acute phase. The symptoms of the chronic type of glaucoma are more secretive. So you can start losing your vision gradually, and it's a silent thief of your vision.
That's why they call it the silent thief.
You won't even know that you've got raised pressure in the eye unless you go for eye checkups from the age of 35 onwards. And that's the closed, or the open angle glaucoma that I mentioned. So, you know, that is something more difficult to detect because it doesn't have such an acute presentation, that you only pick up by regular screening of the pressure in your eyes and decent checkups.
All right, so the question we want to ask to you at home is, do you suffer from glaucoma? Do you know somebody who suffers from glaucoma? And perhaps you'd like to obtain some very valuable information in and around this subject. As I said, from the 12th of March until the 18th of March is World Glaucoma Week. So very relevant and important that we discuss this. So once again, we'll have our lines open on 083-9133-728. You're welcome to call in with your comments or your questions to Dr. Darren Green. We will be back with him very shortly. Right now, let's head on over to the kitchen.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Absolutely, and you know our number is open and open for you to call on 083-9133-728. We're talking about glaucoma because from the 12th until the 18th of March is World Glaucoma Week. Dr. Darren Green is in the hot seat, ready to take your questions and your comments. So when you speak about, you know, how you describe what happens to the eye and the loss of sight, people might just think that this is something that only relates to later on in life. So is glaucoma a condition that is contracted by the elderly?
The most common form, which is the chronic, slow, simple glaucoma, is a slow, progressive thing, and that often is only basically manifests after the age of 40. But you do get forms where you have what's called congenital glaucoma, where there's an abnormality of that drainage system, as I mentioned, in the front chamber of the eye, which are in babies, for example. You also get glaucoma genetically in families where you could have an increased risk and so forth as well.
All right, we've got Martin from Centurion who joins us on the line this morning. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, Chris Leo.
Thank you so much for the call. What is your question or your comment?
Just a quick question. I started losing my eyesight about a year ago. I've lost my eyesight in my right eye totally. And this last week or so, on the left side, it started the same. It's like there's something across the eye, which I can't... it looks like somebody put something in front of the eye. That's the one thing. My question, however, is, although I'm going for treatment on a monthly basis for injections and laser treatment, is it glaucoma? Because my doctor and the hospital never mentioned something like that. That's all. Thanks, eh?
Thank you so much, Martin, for that.
And he mentions a very...
Thanks.
Well, thanks for sharing. I mean, losing your eyesight is something certainly that's very serious.
Yeah.
And he mentions the other eye, which was healthy, is now also being affected. He mentions something, the appearance of something coming down over the eye, almost
Yes.
like a mesh. And there are various conditions that we look at that affect the optic nerve at the back of the eye that will need to be looked at. He needs to see his ophthalmologist rigorously. An ophthalmologist basically has a specific lamp called a slit lamp that they use to look at the different compartments of the eye and analyze basically whether this is a pressure-related problem, whether it's a structural problem, and whether it's related to the vasculature, in other words, the blood supply of the retinas, or whether it's related to pressure. I mean, certainly it sounds like his problem is quite complex.
Yes.
Obviously, but glaucoma certainly is something that chronic open-angle glaucoma you don't actually discover, and they don't even pick up the peripheral visual field loss until you've lost about 30% of your vision in the peripheral field. So, you know, that's the tough part here. So you need screening for early signs and detection at the back of the eye, where they look at the optic nerve that can affect your peripheral vision so that you can go on to treatment. He mentions two treatments which are for pressure. He mentions laser therapy. The laser is where they actually drill a hole or laser a hole through the iris so that the fluid can move from the area posterior to the iris, behind the iris, into the anterior chamber and circulate, because that SIF, that mesh I mentioned that's in front, becomes blocked. So they actually laser a hole through the iris, which is the colourful part of your eye.
Yes.
And when they do what's called an iridectomy, where they cut a triangular hole in the iris, the fluid can also move through. But that you can actually see in someone's eye if you look carefully, if they've had the procedure.
Oh, clearly lots for us to talk about, clearly lots for us to find out about during this glaucoma week. And we'll keep our lines open on 083-9133-728 with the good doctor still making a house call. We'll see what we can see further on in your Feel Good Breakfast show. Stay tuned.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back. It is a Tuesday morning. It is Glaucoma Week starting today until the 18th of March. World Glaucoma Week, to be more specific. And Dr. Darren Green is here. And of course, our lines are open on 083-9133-728 for you to call us with any questions or comments you might have. Safadin on the line right now from Cape Town. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for the call. What is your question or your comment?
My question is, I've got glaucoma, and I was told at the hospital that the nerve at the back of the eye is already dry. What I'm suffering with is severe stings to the tear duct and also severe pain at the back of the eye.
All right. So what can be done about that, Dr.
So
Darren?
she's already got some changes of that chronic pressure build-up in the eye that are affecting the nerve as it enters the eyeball at the back of the eye. So with that chronic pressure, you can imagine that pressure causes a problem with blood flow around the optic nerve, which could then obviously lead to changes like impaired vision of the periphery. So she would have what's called blank spots in her vision. Not black spots, blank spots often come on with that kind of glaucoma. And eye drops are the #1 choice of treatment initially when people respond insufficiently. If her pain and the control of that pressure in the eye is not being regulated sufficiently by using the eye drops, and there's an array of them, you know, from acetylazonamide, which is a long name, to the steroid eye drops, which reduce inflammation, and then mannitol, of course, as well. If she's on all that and it's still giving her symptoms, she would need to obviously be reviewed by an ophthalmologist, who would then consider surgery if she meets the criteria as the next step.
All right. Thank you so much for that call, Safadin. We really do appreciate it. Please keep on calling us. The number is still open. Now, what role do genetics and ethnicity have to play in
Sure, it's interesting. We notice an increased incidence, obviously, in the African population. So that's whether you're in England, in the UK, or in the States. People of African descent are obviously at a high risk. It's got to do with the shape of your eyeballs. It's got to do with the size of the ciliary bodies and the iris itself, and that makeup. And then genetically, just the mechanisms that control the pressure and movement of fluid and fluid production in the eye. And then, of course, the Caucasian population is also at risk as well. And then obviously I mentioned that congenital glaucoma does exist. Babies can be born with glaucoma, and that also needs to obviously be checked as well.
Yeah.
So there are specialized techniques and tools that the eye specialists use to measure the pressure inside the eye. It doesn't mean them injecting the eye, it means they use a special tool that measures the pressure, applying a device on top of the eyeball.
And what about a lifestyle, an unhealthy or a healthy lifestyle? Does that play a role in
It does,
the condition
certainly.
and the
Chronic
contraction there?
lifestyle diseases, non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension can put you at risk. Recurrent eye infections and autoimmune conditions like what we call uveitis also can put you at risk of developing obviously glaucoma as well. So a sedentary lifestyle certainly doesn't help the problem if you've got genes that make you susceptible, and that's why exercise is so important as well. It's been proven to help lower the intraocular pressure already as well.
All right, Dr. Darren Green, I'm going to ask you to sit tight just for a little while longer. When we continue shortly, I want to ask a very important question, whether glaucoma can be completely prevented. I wonder if there's something that we can do about that. And of course, our lines remain open, 083-9133-728. Right now, over to the kitchen.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
We're back with Dr. Darren Green one more time. We're talking about glaucoma as it is World Glaucoma Week from the 12th until the 18th of March. And we've kept our lines open, and we do have a caller on the line. Good morning. Who am I speaking to?
Mariette.
Hello, Mariette. Thank you so much for the call, and a good morning to you. What is your question or comment?
Good morning to both of you. My husband is a diabetic. He's one eye for the last 3 weeks. He's had sort of a throbbing pain behind it, and now that eye has double vision.
All right. Is this
He'd
typical?
like to know if it's...
Is this typical of a glaucoma or glaucoma symptom?
Yeah, double vision, interestingly enough, it's a very complex thing. So you can have what's called monocular double vision or biocular. So it'd be interesting to note if he has double vision when he closes one eye, or whether it's only when both eyes are open. And that obviously helps in differentiating some of the causes and where the problem could lie. The problem could even lie, for example, in the brain or the brain stem. So it doesn't mean it's a local eye problem. So certainly he would require a specialist evaluation, especially if the double vision is new and it's come on quite acutely. He's diabetic, which means he's a vasculopath. In other words, his blood vessels are affected due to diabetes. And the big blood vessels and the small blood vessels can be affected. So he probably has a diabetic retinopathy. So the small thread-like vessels, cotton-like blood vessels at the back of the eye on the retina become affected with diabetes. And the only way that you can remedy that is by good sugar control. You can't go and reverse the damage that's occurred to those vessels already. But if his other eye is acting up and he's got double vision, definitely needs to be evaluated ASAP.
Mariette, thank you very much, and we hope that was helpful.
Thank you very much,
Good
it
luck.
was.
All right. So can glaucoma then be prevented completely?
Can't be prevented, but what we do is with early diagnosis and detection, we can actually help limit the damage and prevent progression of the disease. Remember, even things like the shape of the eye, as I've mentioned, the drainage system, the genetics, all those, you can't turn those off. You know, if they're there, they're there. So what we need to do, obviously, is understand also those are the risk factors, but they also, as a side effect of some of the medications we use, you can also develop a glaucoma.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't know. So read the package inserts. Don't get obviously neurotic about them. But if you develop eye symptoms after starting a new medication, perhaps mention that to your doctor as well.
Yeah.
Because it is a side effect of certain medical drugs as well.
Yeah. And when we look at the general health of your eye, what can viewers at home then do to practice good eye health and to protect this precious sense? Because it is one of those...
Yes, indeed. I think that the take-home message is if you have eye symptoms, don't take them lightly, especially things like blurred vision, double vision, or visual loss. The onset and the nature of it coming on acutely, you know, is important. And then, of course, exercise. Exercise and not leading a sedentary lifestyle. Changing your lifestyle and becoming healthy does help regulate. Firstly, the blood vessels in the eye are more active. You also prevent diabetes. You prevent hypertension. which all affect the eye as well. So that's what you can do.
All right, fantastic. As always, we do appreciate your time, sir, and your expertise.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you again next week.
Sweet.
Fantastic. Sweet. How's that from the doctor? Little side lingo there. All right. Stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. There's still lots more to come this morning. Leanne, over to you.
It's my